So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to master a song in less than 10 minutes using a brand new plugin from one of your favorite companies, or at least one of my favorite companies, LANDR. Now 1 second, because I know this video is longer than 10 minutes, but that's just because I'm explaining everything in detail. It shouldn't take you longer than 10 minutes. LANDR has finally released a mastering plugin for you to use in your DAW. Now what's great about this, aside from the fact that you can use it within whatever DAW that you're working in, is the fact that you can revise any aspect of the master that you want, allowing you to dial in the specifics of different parameters like the EQ, the mastering style, dynamics, the presence, the de-esser, the stereo field, and the perceived loudness of your song. Now the best thing that I love about this plugin is it's not confusing to navigate. A lot of the mastering plugins out there will have different knobs and sliders and turns and language that you don't even understand how to use and read and work with. But LANDR's mastering plugin keeps everything simplified for even the beginner users to be able to navigate. Let's take a look at how it works. So the first thing that you want to do in whatever DAW that you're using, you come to the stereo out channel. So here in Logic, here is stereo out. I'm going to go ahead to my plugin list and I'm going to go down to audio units, LANDR, and select LANDR mastering. Now what you're going to see here is LANDR is waiting for audio playback. So it's waiting for you to play the loudest part of your song so that it can gather the information that it needs to create an AI master, just like how it does on the website. Only this time, you're going to be the one that's dialing in the specifics of this plugin, not allowing the computer to do everything for you. So for me, that's the very beginning of the song, is probably one of the loudest parts of the song. So I'm going to go ahead and press play. You would do the same in your DAW. Let's see.
Somewhere in the song, can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all. Go. I'm lost somewhere in the song. Can you find me? I'm lost, girl, in the heat of it all. Go. Yeah.
And here's what it sounds like after.
Somewhere in the song, can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all. Go. I'm lost somewhere in the song. Can you find me? I'm lost, girl, in the heat of it all. Go.
Now, already right off the bat, I can say that I really love what LANDR did to my song. It gave it a lot more punch, a lot more presence. So all these different things I'm going to go ahead and just mess around with as I'm listening to my song and see what I like most. So first and foremost, what you want to do is determine what type of master that you want. And then you want to go on to messing around with the EQ and the presence and all that other stuff.
Somewhere in the song, can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all. Go. I'm lost somewhere in the song. Can you find me? I'm lost, girl, in the heat of it all. Go. Yeah.
I think I like the way the warm mastering style sounds on this particular song. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with that. Now, if we hover over any of these tools here, it'll give us a brief explanation of what that tool is in very plain English, so it's easy to understand. Now here we have the warm mastering style, which creates a warm vintage master with softer highs for a thick and smooth sound. For this song specifically, I like that vintage style more, and I like how it makes my lower end sound. It's a more warm sounding song to begin with because of that bass line, so I want to accentuate that with the warm mastering style. And you don't have to follow this advice, but I would say that whatever your song starts out with, whatever kind of vibe your song has, whether it's something that's more on the warm side versus something that's more bright and has more airy tones to it on the open side, versus something in the middle. Whatever your song is favoring, I would say go with that first to see how it sounds, and then you can dial in a bit of the EQ. I don't think I need too much low end on this because I already feel like it's emphasized enough in the master that it gave me. So basically what I'm going to do is accentuate more of the mid-range and the high range frequencies in my EQ so that I can bring out more of that element of this song, but not too much because I want it, again, to favor that warm sound. So if I'm going to just go ahead and undo that by blasting up the highs and the mids, it wouldn't really make sense to go with a warm mastering style to begin with.
Somewhere in the song, can Can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all. Go. I'm lost somewhere in the sauce. Can you find me? I'm lost, girl, in the heat of it all. Go.
This is not to say that you always have to increase these levels when you're messing with the EQ. At some times, you might want to decrease them because maybe your song has too much from the plugins that you've added in your mixing stage. Or maybe the plugin itself, when it did its initial master, it added more highs than you want, more mids than you want, more lows than you want, and you want to take some of those down. In that case, you would take some of those down. But this is all basically a listening game. You have to listen to your song and listen to what it's doing. And this is why when I go through my EQs, I don't really care about the ranges and the numbers and all those kind of aspects that people like to talk about. Maybe this is not the right way to teach, but I go by what I hear. I just turn the knob all the way up to hear the extreme version of that. Then I dial it back to where it sounds exactly how I want it to sound. Or I'll go on the other end and take away an extreme amount of that frequency range. Then I'll add a little bit back in to where it sounds good for me. I don't focus on the frequency hertz and all these things, even though that is a good thing to know. I would say listening to your song and hearing how it sounds first and foremost, because this is music, is the best way to go about using this plugin. Now, next up, I'm going to go with the presence. So this is going to affect our vocals. Basically, it's going to affect how much our vocals are sounding present in the song. Control the amount of presence in the critical vocal range of your master. Now, this is another one of those cases where if you turn this up, you're finding yourself turning this up all the way to 10 or turning it all the way down to -10. That's an aspect to where you want to go back to your mix and fix that issue there. You don't want to go super extreme using this plugin. This is more so meant for those minor adjustments that give you those surgical advancements, I guess, in your master to have that sound really punch through the way that you want it to punch through.
Somewhere in the soul. Can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all. Go. I'm lost somewhere in the sauce. Can you find me? I'm lost, girl, in the heat of it all. Go.
I like this presence knob because it's a good way to dial in how much of that vocal is being heard in the mastering stage. Now, this specific song doesn't really have too much S's that are getting in the way of the recording and the overall sound of the song. Now, if I had a harsh song that was bringing up those S's because of compression or things like that, and other ways that I process the vocal, then in this case, I would definitely search for the frequency and the amount of de-essing that I want to do with that song. But you don't necessarily always have to use this tool or any of these tools for that matter. It just depends on your song. So in this case, I don't really think I have to do much de-essing because whatever amount I had to do, I already did in my mixing stage. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that as it was, maybe just add a little bit here. And so next up, I'm going to move on to our dynamics. So this is the compression of the song. This is the amount of compression being applied to your master. Increasing compression will reduce the overall dynamic range of your track, helping to bring up low-level elements. So this is kind of what I typically do with my vocals. What we want to realize is that we do want to have some dynamic range in our song. We don't want to limit it too much to where it starts to sound really thin and kind of limited in its range. We want it to have those highs and lows and peaks and valleys, but we can dial it in specific to the sound that we want in our song, and also dial in the character of the compression, which is how fast and punchy that compression is, or how slow and smooth that compression is, because the character changes the behavior of the compression from fast and punchy to slow and smooth. Turning to the left increases the overall punch, and turning to the right makes the compression smoother. So in this case, with this particular song, I'm actually going to see how it sounds, but my initial thought is to make this compression more slow and smooth, since this is not really a fast-paced song. Not saying that you need a fast and punchy compression for a fast-paced song, but I think in my taste for this particular song, I want the compression to kind of hit a little bit slower and to have a more smoother tone, because the song is already smooth to begin with. So I just want to accentuate that and roll with the flow.
Somewhere in the soul. Can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all gone. I'm lost somewhere in the sauce. Can you find me? I'm lost, girl, in the heat of it all gone. Yeah.
Now you can kind of hear just how the compression is affecting my song. When I turn it up to the max, it does kind of limit the dynamic range and the levels that I'm hearing of the drums specifically and some of the bass line specifically. Some of it is not as nuanced as it was before in playing the way that I played it, the way that I remember playing it. But I want it to have that human feel, because if you do it too much, it's going to miss out on that human feel that you may be trying to get in your song. Maybe you want it to sound like a robot. I don't know.
I'm just not feeling it no more. Yeah. But what changed? I'm not sure.
And then lastly, the saturation is going to be what increases the harmonic content to add an analog-like thickening effect. Saturation increases the sense of depth commonly heard in tube and transformer-based equipment. So this is going to thicken the sound of our song. And in this case, I do kind of want it to have a little bit of thickness because of that bass line and how warm it sounds. I would love to have a thick, warm sound for this song specifically, but whether I go all the way or not, I mean, that just depends on how it sounds. So let's see how it sounds.
Somewhere in the song, can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all gone. I'm lost somewhere in the sauce. Can you find me? I'm lost, girl, in the heat of it all gone.
So next up, I want to go to the stereo field of the song. And this is where we kind of hone in our song with the focus. We widen the sound of our song and you get more stereo width. And stereo width is something that I normally tend to like in all of my songs. This is something that I kind of default myself to. But I want to mess around with the focused side a little bit.
I'm just not feeling it no more. Yeah. But what changed? I'm not sure. Did I not spend enough time?
Yeah, I love how the vocal sounds, especially once the verse comes in and it's by itself. I love it more how it sounds on the focus side. Not all the way to the left-hand side, but maybe halfway. So 55 to 50% is what I went for this particular song in the stereo field. Obviously, the more vocals that I had in there, when I had the widen effect, it did sound more kind of open and wide, and that's why I would use that for that specific use case if a song had a lot more vocals. But since the majority of this song is just this one vocal singing, I do want to go with the focused stereo field. I would even say also the mastering style, depending on your stereo field. If you have an open mastering style, I would tend to lean towards the widened stereo field as well, because that accentuates and leans into that mastering style a little bit more. Whereas balanced and warm, you can kind of mix in the two. Not that you have to go with that. Again, this is all done to taste, but this is just what I've noticed using these plugins, how I've noticed my mixes coming out, my masters coming out. And last but not least, in our song, what you want to pay attention to is the loudness. How much loudness do you want in your song? Now, there is no magic number. You can do this how you want to. There are some recommended numbers based on the streaming platforms. I think for Spotify, it's like -13 LUFS. For Apple Music, it's like -14 LUFS, something like that to that effect. You can choose to pay attention to the LUFS if you want. This number is going to depend on the overall sound of your song. So the moment that you can click it to reset it and you start playing your song, it's going to measure the LUFS over the course of the song. So if you want an accurate reading, you're going to have to allow your full song to play to get the average LUFS over the course of the song, and then adjust your loudness depending on, you know, what that output is. So like if I wanted to go for -13 LUFS, I'm going to go ahead and turn down the loudness here and see what happens.
somewhere in the zone. Can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all gone. I'm lost.
So we're getting closer. We're at -12 LUFS, but in this case, I would probably just have to go back into my song and fix the song itself and all the levels that these things are at to kind of match with the LUFS that I want to see down here, which is -13. Since I'm not really a stickler on that, I just want to go with what sounds good. So to me, it was sounding good right about where it was at, maybe a little bit less.
Somewhere in the zone. Can you find me? I'm lost in the heat of it all gone. I'm lost somewhere in the zone. Can you find me? I'm lost, girl, in the heat of it all gone. Yeah.
Also, one of the most important things that you want to pay attention to while you're doing all of this, and even once you get to the end of your mastering stage where you've gone through all these parameters here, is you want to pay attention to this little dot here that's just above the input knob. This is the input gain. And basically this is how much of the song we're inputting into the mastering plugin to get our end result. So right now it's at -2. That's how much we're inputting into the plugin. This little button here is white because nothing's playing. Basically, if this thing is white, that means that you need to turn this input gain up because there's not enough input for it to work with. If this little button here is green, that means you're A-okay, there's enough volume here, there's enough levels here for it to do what it needs to do. And if this button is red, that means you have too much input and you need to dial it back. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Obviously, it's gonna kind of fluctuate, and also there's a yellow flash that comes here as well. That is still within the okay range, but that means you're kind of entering the danger zone and you don't want it to be in the yellow for like a duration of the song, like a long duration, because then that means you do want to dial things back before like the loudest part of your song starts to clip and go in the red. So this was before our master.
I'm just not feeling it no more. Yeah. But what changed? I'm not sure. Did I not spend enough time? Swear I will next time. And if you come back to me, I'll be the best I can be.
And that is how you master a song in less than 10 minutes using LANDR's mastering plugin. Again, this is all to taste. It depends on what kind of sound that you want to come out of your song. If you did find this video to be helpful, please leave a like on this video. As always, I love you and thank you for watching. Stay legendary.
Can you find me? I'm lost.